Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. Tisha here, back for another chapter reading. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get because I don't have a lot of memory left. So if this just so happens to cut off, my apologies. Maybe I'll get my son to edit it to fix it. Anyways, do me a favor, hit the like button as we jump into Christine Brown Woolley's Sister Wife, a memoir of faith, family, and finding freedom. We ain't on chapter 20. Hold up. I took the bookmark out too quickly. I think we're on chapter 17, right? Yes, we are. We are on chapter 17. We're just doing the best we can in a house full of love. The television is an ego trip, or it can be. We learned that 2.26 million people tuned into the first episode, and it was impossible to make that make sense. I used to rib Kody that the show was called Sister Wives, not Kody and the Sister Wives. And he'd say, but it's really about me. Let me be clear. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't tune in because of Kody. I, if anything, tuned in because of the kids and some of the wives. But it's interesting that he felt like it was about him and that production has made him feel like that. He was right to some extent. He'd say that he was the most dynamic of all of us. I would agree that you're the most dramatic of us, I would tease. He had always been like that. When we went to his high school reunion, that was his reputation in school, that he always had an ego. Wrestling champ, popular and bigger than life dance moves. How many times did we hear about him being wrestling champion? Even when it was supposed to be about Hunter and Gabe, he mentioned that he was wrestling champion. And those larger than life dance moves were trash. But let me continue. We worried that the kids would be bullied in public school, but that was never a problem. They had wonderful teachers, particularly at the high school. The kids outed themselves as being part of the polygamous Brown family. But the funny thing about being a kid is you're a bit self-involved by default. Zits, clothes, crushes. The other kids had their own stuff to worry about. And in Vegas, kids express themselves in big, weird, wonderful ways. Purple hair or combat boots, gender fluidity, drama club, football. They could see past the polygamy to our kids' individual personalities. Usually they were just curious, and our kids happily answered questions, explaining that they weren't polygamous themselves. They simply had polygamous parents. They talked about the things they liked about it, lots of siblings and close adults, and the things they didn't, strict rules and limited one-on-one time. The Brown children also traveled in a pack, and there was never a shortage of older siblings to come to a younger kid's defense or to diffuse a situation. At first, being recognized was fun for them. They were mini celebrities. Then it became exhausting. These weren't kids who had ever sought the spotlight. They'd gone to a small church school and spent most of their time with their brothers and sisters. Suddenly, strangers wanted selfies or to tell them they loved them on the show. Usually, people were great. But sometimes someone would ask the kids an inappropriate question or offer up opinions about them as humans. As kids, they needed the freedom to figure out who they were outside the spotlight. I don't know if those people who were doing that were adults, but that was unnecessary. To me, say I love you on the show and keep it moving. Y'all know I've always loved Hunter. If I ever met Hunter in person, I'd probably be like, oh my goodness, it's Hunter. But I wouldn't be overly intrusive. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I would do that because I've met a few stars and celebrities and I didn't go crazy in front of them. Now, I may have gone a little cuckoo after, but I kept my composure in front of them. Let me keep going. Their feelings about it all came in waves. One kid might be shy one season and outgoing the next. Another might feel bitter about spending their life on TV. They could choose how much they wanted to participate, but their family still showed up in homes across America once a week or for a weekend of binge watching. I don't really know if I agree with the kids being able to choose if they could participate. Maybe that was later on, but in the beginning, I think they were expected to participate. I don't really feel like they had a say in the matter. As a family, we were careful about our outings. People got used to us in the grocery store and the neighborhood. There might be initial excitement or concern, but the novelty quickly wore off. We avoided the strip with the casinos and scantily clad humans. It was too crowded, and people recognized us every time we went. They'd make a big deal, awkward, drunken, fuss about seeing us, which could be fun, but was mostly just weird. We had a few Sister Wives events for our fans in Vegas, so we get to interact with people, which I loved. One time I hit the bathroom during an event. While I was in a stall, I heard a lady say, "I think Kody and the Sister Wives are out there." "Oh, yeah," I said from my stall. "I saw them too." "No way," I heard some of the other women say. "I'm sure it's them," the first lady said. "Yeah, it's definitely them," I said. Then I walked out of the stall. "Hey," I said. "Hey." They were lovely. Generally, the adults felt pretty comfortable with the cameras and the publicity. We knew who we were, and we often talked about our ethics, principles, and beliefs. Still, the show affected each of us differently. I found myself making more choices. I think that happened for all of us. When I saw myself on camera, when I had the mirror held up for me, I realized I can be pretty selfish. Though now, I wonder if I was being selfish in a self-care way because my needs weren't being met rather than a self-involved way. I don't think Christine was as selfish as she thinks. I think she wanted basic courtesy and she often didn't get that. And I saw that I asked my kids questions but didn't wait for the answers. I just answered for them. I wasn't great at conversations. Ouch. Everything felt hard, but there were things I could control. I decided to use that mirror to make some changes, to listen better to my kids and improve my mom skills. I had always been a good mom, but good moms want to be better. Kody's an internet comment reader, and comments can make you feel like an awful human, which is why I avoid them. Because of social media, Kody believed the show made him look bad. The comments about Robin, the love of his life, those upset him. It's funny how that stuff can affect you. At the beginning, the comments were more positive than negative, but the negative ones could dig in like fish hooks and then drag you down. Being married to Robin changed him too, and I could see that clearly as the new episodes came out. Kody and Robin became similar. He started to use her expressions. "I'm just sitting here thinking, you got to understand," and bullcrap. He dressed differently, his shirts tighter. They began to look like a couple. I'm sure some of that came from never having to hide their relationship. They had, after all, had their wedding broadcasted to an audience of 2 million people, but some of it came from falling in love. Robin liked to say that she could speak Kody as if the wives who had been with him for as long as 2 decades needed a translator. Honestly, I get irritated with that whole speak Kody comment because it's just her manipulating him. And it just goes to show you just how deep she's dug her claws in. But let's keep going. In reality, it often seemed as if he repeated on camera what he'd heard in a discussion they already had at home. Unlike the Brown family tradition of simply moving forward, Robin liked to think about everyone's perspective and to talk through conflicts, which made for great TV, except for when it involves her. Let's be clear. Because I haven't forgot how she ducked that session with the therapist after her personality results came through and she didn't much care for him. Let's keep going. You know, the ones that she couldn't remember later on and try to act like Christine and then were lying about it. Okay, let me keep going. She tried to help Kody see how his words or actions might affect his other wives. I think she wanted to make sure Kody treated everyone well, but that also meant Kody talked about his other relationships with her, which is something that we were told that they didn't do. But Kody has made it clear, well, let me not say Kody. The other wives have made it clear that Kody definitely talked to them about each other. Christine said that he used to talk about Mary. Janelle said that he used to talk about Mary and Christine. The only one that he never spoke badly about was his bird, Robin. I hadn't agreed to that, and I was often hurt by how much she knew as well as irritated by how she influenced Kody's behavior toward me, even if it was in a good way. She wasn't my counselor. I wasn't married to Kody and Robin, just Kody. And I'd known Kody for long enough to know when he parroted Robin's words as reasons for his own behavior. I think as I met more people, I saw them as members of my expanding community. It felt safe to me. But in my mind, Kody's outlook seemed to become fear-based, as if everyone were judging him and his family, even as he seemed to enjoy the celebrity. It's possible that's why he started to worry about loyalty and which of his wives supported him and whether he was doing enough to control outcomes in his family as the patriarch. He started to use the word covenant, which wasn't something we did in the early days of our relationship with Kody, as well as agreement, as if we had all entered a contract with him where we all agreed his word was law. We know that Janelle has said this, as well as Mary. So this is very much so the way that the OG3 feel about this. We wanted to present a positive image on the show, but we also had to be careful not to upset the balance. Precarious as it was, if I complained about our marriage on the show, Kody spent less time with me and my kids. This man punished them left and right. We know he did it. He admitted to making Mary complete all these items on a list just to not work out with her or give her some. And here he is, not just punishing Christine, but her kids. If we didn't do things his way, he would punish us by withholding his attention. Vegas was all about that. If I raised concern, he would say, well, we can choose to fight or we can choose not to, and I'll stay. Husbands don't go to the doghouse in polygamy. They go to the next wife in the chain. I stopped telling him when something bothered me. It was exhausting. I felt like we always had to be on, but in the background, everything felt hard. I never knew what we would dissect on the set. My face shows everything. Everything. If someone says something dumb, side eye. Shocking, eyebrows all the way up. I have the same problem, Christine. You turn red. I don't turn red. But my nostrils flare and my eyes give me away and I have a look. So I get it. Eyebrows all the way up. Funny, but not meant to be funny. Lips pursed to hold back inappropriate laughter. Angry. Oh, I will stand up and walk away. So I tried to rein that in. But they'd ask a question I didn't expect, and I'd think, crap. Now what do I say? Best face forward. We needed people to believe we still function as a family, even though I rarely saw anyone but the kids off the set. So when they were in Vegas and they kept saying how they were hardly seeing each other, when they were in Vegas and I'm like, they're a mile apart, what's the big deal? It's because they weren't seeing each other. They were seeing the kids, but not the adults, because these women were never close. We're just doing the best we can and raising our kids in a house full of love, I would say to the camera. Before that point, our relationship with Kody had been a bit more push and pull. Kody had always withdrawn his attention when he was angry with one of us. But when Janelle left town in a huff or I headed off to spend time with my parents, he'd pull us back in. Yeah, because he still has to have control. And when you decide to leave, you take away his control. So how does he get you back in control? By acting like he cares until he gets you where he wants you, much like what he did with Mary to get that divorce from Mary. I'm going to act like I like her. Then when I get what I want from her, I'm going to just throw her back by the wayside. That's what he does. A big date, a lovely gift, a visit where he engaged with us, love bombing. Through it all, the sister wives returned to our core principle of working to improve ourselves, but sometimes it seemed only to apply to the women. Soon after we moved to Vegas, Mary counseled me as I struggled through my relationship with Kody. He skipped both my birthday and our anniversary that year. We all used to talk about how when he looked at you, you felt as if you were the only woman in the world, but that stopped. Feeling seen, that's a form of intimacy. I have to block it out and make pretend everything was okay, I told her. Mary told me on camera that I was in charge of my own choices and that only I could make myself happy. I remember being extremely irritated with that, especially in learning later on how much Mary was struggling when all that was going on. Those women really were not vulnerable with each other. I think that was what a lot of the problems were. I don't think vulnerability came for people like Janelle and Christine until after Christine was ready to leave. You have to do it without putting it all on him, she told me. You're the only person you can change. You can't change anyone else. I do believe that, but in a relationship, there has to be some give and take. And our rule was always make Kody happy. I can change myself and try to look at things more positively. But if the other person doesn't change too, then it's not really a relationship. After my conversation with Mary, Kody and I went on an on-camera date. He took me to play paintball and then up in a helicopter, which I had always wanted to do, and it was amazing. He even threw me a birthday party to make up for the one he'd missed. I felt incredible, as if I had found my best friend again. All he had to do was toss her crumbs and she was back pulled in. But it never lasted because it was just for show. Afterward, I apologized to him for what I had been feeling. Like, oh, you're wonderful. I'll just go back to being a good wife now. But nothing had changed. We had one good day. Chapter 18, I put on my big girl pants. Initially, we couldn't find homes near each other in Las Vegas, let alone a place big enough to accommodate Kody, his 4 wives, and their 16 children. The mansion-sized houses had only 5 massive bedrooms. We moved into 4 separate small rental houses. None of us had room to have everyone over. In Lehigh, we had to work through our differences each day because everybody but Robin and their kids lived in the same house. In Vegas, we would have to make an effort to see each other. I had some hope, though. I lived about 6 doors away from Robin, so I thought, oh my gosh, we can get closer and our kids can hang out together. It would be an opportunity to develop our relationship. I'd been lonely in Lehigh, and Kody had been on my case about getting along better with my sister wives, even though he didn't get along with Mary either. So I hoped Robin and I would be tight. That's so ironic. They have to get along with each other, but he doesn't have to get along with them. He's allowed to do whatever the hey-ho he wants to. When I first met Robin, I noticed that she cried often. I saw it as sincere. She's an emotional person who's in tune with her feelings. That was a tactic to rope you in. It was. That's the way I feel. I'm sticking to it. I thought she was altruistic and kind, and I believed she wanted what was best for everyone. The friendship dream wouldn't pan out. Robin was always busy. What was she busy doing? Robin didn't have a job. What was she busy doing? See, this is the stuff that Kody doesn't talk about. He makes it seem like Robin always made herself so available and she was this and she was that and she was this. She was not working. The closest thing she had to a job was filming this show and Sister Wives Closet, and Mary did more work on that than she did. That's why her stuff is still not up to date on that website. Let me keep going. Robin was always busy, so she needed to know if we planned to come over ahead of time. I never felt invited to her house, and we couldn't just drop by, as had been our habit in the big house with kids scrounging for other moms' leftovers. The kids couldn't just walk down the street to play. And I felt like I couldn't pop in because Kody was always there. That's why she didn't want you to just show up, because she was trying to hide that Kody was always there. If Kody is supposed to be supposedly working, because remember, he had a company car and all that stuff when he was in Vegas. If Kody was supposed to be working and he was splitting time evenly amongst the women, how was Kody always at her rental? This was before she got the house that supposedly had she built an office in there for Kody. He's always been there. I could see his car in her driveway. Our kids could too. They had noticed Kody spent more time with Robin and her kids in Lehigh, but I told them what I told myself. He's just spending time getting to know them. It's going to be fine. It'll all balance out. I kept thinking back to what it had been like in Wyoming. If we could get back to that place, I would stay for eternity, even with the ups and downs. The kids were, for the most part, not thrilled about the move, so I figured we'd pull together as a family to make the transition easier. I thought things would even out, but it felt like Robin ended up needing more. Kody wanted to give her more. That meant Kody didn't hang out with our kids either. He came over at 5 or 6 in the evening on every third or fourth night, and never during the day on the weekends. She's saying third or fourth as an indication that there were some nights where he wasn't having Mary in the rotation. And this goes back to also Janelle saying the same thing, that he would come over late. We all had the same work schedule, and we didn't work full days. He'd come for dinner, spend a little bit of time with our kids, Truly, 1, Isabel, 8, Gwendolyn, 10, Peyton, 13, McKelty, 15, and Aspen, 16. And then when they left for school in the morning, he'd leave. My kids have told me that starting in Las Vegas, Kody was an absent dad. Because when they were in the house together, it appeared as if he was present because he had to be in that house. It was one house. But I think it stopped once Robin came along. And the fact that her kids noticed it as early as Vegas, early days, shows a lot. I was caught in this bizarre love pentagon, catch 22. I wanted a better relationship with Kody. Kody was angry with me for not having a better relationship with my sister wives. I wanted to improve my relationship with Robin, but Kody was always at her house. Mary and Janelle didn't believe me that Kody still spent the majority of his time with Robin. Can you not see it, I say? Don't you listen to your kids? Both Janelle's and my kids talked to me about it, about how Kody didn't have time for them because he was always with Robin. I felt like I was yelling into the wind, but Janelle and Mary couldn't see Kody's car in Robin's driveway. Janelle did not believe Christine until they moved to Flagstaff. That's when Janelle started seeing it. And for real, it didn't bother her until around the pandemic. We'll keep going. Janelle didn't need to see it. She and Kody were fine. She was living her best life and liked the independence. Mary had a stronger friendship with Robin and a strained relationship with Kody, so it would have been harder for her to see. After I had Truly, when we lived in Lehigh in April 2010, Kody stayed with me for 2 days. Can you stay longer? I asked him because I needed help. We had a new baby and he looked at her adoringly. Maybe this would be a chance to get some more Kody time for my family. No, I remember him telling me, I don't have time. He reminded me that I could ask my sister wives for help. We did help each other. When Janelle had each of her babies, we would go to the hospital and then I would help her when she got home. Kody would spend a couple of days with Janelle after each birth. After Robin had Solomon in October 2011, about 10 months after we moved to Vegas, Kody stayed with her for 2 weeks before the baby was born. Are y'all hearing this? He gave each one of those ladies 2 days after the baby. He's giving her 2 weeks before the baby is born. He also stayed with her for 2 weeks after. He gave her an entire month. But we want to act like Christine doesn't have a reason to feel away when it's so clear. And I wish she would have said this on the show. I wish she would have called him out for everybody to see. Because this just shows the double standard, the hypocrisy, and TLC, why do you not, like, I feel like TLC should interview Christine about this book and ask certain questions, but they're not going to because Kody has them in their pocket. Okay, let me keep going before I get mad. What I remember thinking, that's not polygamy. That's not relying on your sister wife. I wonder if Robin was that much more helpless than the rest of us. Or maybe Kody finally listened to the midwife who had always told him he should spend more time bonding and helping. No, he just wanted to be there with Robin. He didn't care about y'all. I remember how he looked at Solomon and how he still, well, maybe not as recently because she's starting to get on his nerves, how he used to baby Ariella. Or did Robin matter that much more? Mary, Janelle, and I had always had kids to take care of, a family to run. Somebody's birthday was coming up or someone was getting married, and we needed to put aside our feelings. For the first 10 years of the original marriages, Kody traveled for work, so the day-to-day operations were up to the wives. Even as Janelle and Mary avoided each other, they both knew they could depend on each other without question for family and emergencies. I don't think Robin ever experienced plural marriage. Rather than rely on her sister wives, Robin had my McKelty help her with her kids. This is when McKelty was living with her. As I said before, it's always about what benefits her. Robin and McKelty had a wonderful relationship, and I was grateful for that. Then Robin's sister moved in to help, and then she had a nanny. We'll get to that and to the t-shirt I wear when I work out. It's always blew my mind that she relied on people other than her sister wives. She rarely asked for our help with anything. She didn't need to. She was new, and maybe she didn't understand how it worked, I reasoned. But shouldn't you all have had that as a conversation? You all didn't learn anything from the way that the other wives had things going on when you came into the family to maybe sit down and talk about some of these things and how you would function as a family, because you still haven't learned healthy ways in communicating, I'm guessing. And if I wanted to spend time with Kody, I needed to have a good relationship with Robin. So I invited her for lunch when Solomon and Truly were little. I remember, and she started crying and acting like Christine was so bad to her. I remember she held baby Solomon in her arms as we filmed the scene at the restaurant we liked. We talked about our relationship, and I told her that it had been tough when she showed up to the family and that I had been jealous. I don't remember taking it out on her, but I heard that was how she took it. Yeah, because she's going to make herself seem like a victim, and it's going to further make Kody upset with you. In particular, she had been angry about Christmas. We had been thoroughly stressed just before we moved to Las Vegas. As we welcomed Robin into the family, we wondered if we could get out of Utah before the police arrested Kody. We decided to spend Christmas in the mountains to find some peace. I had always loved planning holidays and parties, and I worked to include everyone's traditions. When Robin came into the family, I told her that we celebrated Joseph Smith's birthday on December 23rd, as I had been raised to do. I carried that over into my marriage to Kody, and it was the piece I added to our holiday celebrations. Every December 24th, Mary had Christmas Eve at her place. On Christmas morning, Janelle made breakfast. I told Robin about the traditions we had settled into, but also asked her if she wanted to add a tradition to bring a bit of home. To me, they were fun, inviting conversations. Then I got a visit from Kody. Isn't this the same thing we were told by Janelle, that she would have certain conversations and it would get back to Kody and Twisted? Let's see. Robin told him she felt I had been controlling, and he wanted to let me know that I had been rude. Somehow, me trying to welcome her into the family got twisted into me trying to put her in her place or telling her she had parameters she needed to fit in. Y'all gonna sit here and tell me that that girl is not the bird that I call her? This is what I'm talking about. From day one, she has been problematic and she has caused all type of confusion. So when she gets up there and she cries and she plays victim and her mom is like, oh, they always blame you, they have every reason to blame her. Every. I had been clueless. That first Christmas, Mary made her traditional Christmas pajamas for everyone, and Robin created sweet ornaments for each member of the family based on their personality or hobbies. I would have threw that crap in the trash. After the talk with Kody, I figured she and I just got our wires crossed. In any case, I apologize for any bad behavior that came from my jealousy. Girl, I wouldn't have apologized for anything. That's the problem. Y'all bended too much to that bird. Now she's sitting up in the biggest nest while Janella's living in an RV and struggling. She got all that money from the family furnishing her house and building gardens and playgrounds in the backyard and all that other stuff while y'all are scrimping for pennies. Her budget was non-existent because how the person that doesn't work has the most money to spend is beyond me. Let me keep going. I want you to know during all of it, it was him I had a hard time with. I said it wasn't you. It was Kody. I just felt left. I told her I was sorry. I meant it sincerely, no excuses. I came to that meeting hoping to build a friendship. She started to cry. I thought you didn't like me, I remember her saying, or something similar. No, I was angry about Kody, but I was worried you were angry with me. Nope, Kody. Robin, come on, girl. Come on. I'm not buying that. Because Christine overextended herself, but you thought she was angry. Okay. Pretty quickly, I understood that what I said to Robin would go back to Kody, and there might be a twist to it. Then, though the wives agreed that we wouldn't talk about what happened in the bedroom, Robin somehow found out that I no longer gave Kody massages. How in the hell is that even a discussion? They talk about how unsafe things were. Robin made things unsafe. I didn't tell her. Why aren't you doing massages for Kody anymore, she asked. He doesn't give it back, I said. So why would I do that? Oh, really? He's such a great husband. Is he? I thought it was betrayal that he would talk to her about our sex life and that she would allow him to. It says deep breath, y'all. That doesn't mean Robin and I couldn't get along. I put on my big girl, special Mormon underpants, and we did things together. We bought special dishes for family functions, and that was fun. We threw parties and planned activities, and I enjoyed it. I hope that some of her kids read this book to see all that she went through. Because I've always often found myself struggling with seeing people like McKelty have a close relationship with Robin. I know it has since changed a little bit, but there's no way I'd be okay with somebody who did these type of things to my mom. She added to Passover and made it lovely. I never liked doing Passover because I missed our Easter tradition that had disappeared when Kody decided it was pagan. What can we do to change this up a little bit? Robin asked, and then went for it. She added a scripture treasure hunt and morphed it into something our kids enjoyed. I was grateful and have some beautiful memories of that time, but I didn't let down my guard. You never should have, because she showed you who she was. Chapter 19, bringing the boy to the yard. Having our own homes allowed each of us to grow and undoubtedly gave each of the wives the distance we needed to better understand ourselves as individuals, rather as cogs in the family machine. I no longer coordinated parties, handled lesson plans, or mediated relationships. My role within the large family seemed to evaporate. I felt like I could breathe for the first time in years, without walking on eggshells in my own living room. I loved it. If the kids hadn't been there, I would have danced, Tom Cruise style, through the house in an Oxford shirt and long Mormon underwear. Janelle's kids came over all the time, and we all saw each other on the weekends or at family parties, and I knew my sister wives were there for emergencies, but we didn't have real conversations. Small talk, sure, but we spent the whole workday in each other's space. And then we'd sit down on the couch, usually together, and listen to each other interpret our family. Think about that. When was the last time you dissected the deep meaning of a 4-year-old's birthday party? It was all so carefully orchestrated. What can I say that won't make this person angry, make this person cry, or make the audience think that this person is mean? If I were just talking with Janelle, I could lay things out for the most part. But on set, forget it. It was exhausting and unrealistic. And by the time we saw each other outside the show, we were just done. Our homes were sanctuaries. When we lived together, I often felt as if my opinion and my needs didn't matter. In Vegas, I was essentially a single mom making her own decisions. Better still, I had some cash. Before the show, we lived in absolute poverty. If I needed money for kids' shoes or food to feed our children, I had to ask the family. Even though I worked, the money went in the family pot and often went to other things, so I never had enough even for groceries. I still think that it was odd that at one point they were all getting the same amount of money, even though their family sizes varied. But when the show started, TLC paid the family, and then each of us would be paid out of the family account. There was no set amount. What? We each told Kody how much we needed, and he wrote us a check. There was no set amount once they started getting paid from TLC. That explains why the bird was able to take so much, because she needed everything. I had no idea how much anyone else got, and it never occurred to me to ask. Why would anyone need more than I did? I assumed anything left over would remain in the main account. No, it didn't. The feathers were spending it. The sister wives and Kody met to talk about the family money, such as when one of the kids had health expense or when Mary wanted to buy her family bed and breakfast. In that case, it was money we simply didn't have. The decision could be painful and difficult to understand because we didn't know the whole of our financial situation. It is insane that these adults did not know their financial situation. That Kody, he likes to put it on Janelle, had so much control. Kody's name was on everything, including all of our leases and the homes we owned, which complicated everything from trying to get financing to trying to file our taxes. At one point, the family talked about taking a vacation using money from the show, but we didn't know how long the windfall would last. I thought a vacation wasn't the best use of the money. It didn't fit in with our family goals. Wait, I said, none of us have yards. We have talked in the past about how we could create memories with our kids if we had a place for them to play outside. Can we talk about that as an option? I feel like it's one of the only times my voice was heard during a family committee. We each got a yard. We also constantly tried to come up with other business ideas so we'd have something sustainable when the show ended. We talked about becoming realtors. Mary and I started our own online shop selling clothing through a franchise, and Kody always had a scheme. Notice she says scheme because that's what it was. Robin created some neat jewelry and then developed my sister wives closet concept. Isn't that nice that you calling it neat? A lot of them pieces were ugly, girl. You know they was ugly. The pieces featured elements: fire, water, air, and earth, or hearts and dragons, or colliders, and she built an online shop to sell them. We all did our best to promote them online, and we displayed them at a few trade shows, but the business never took off. Are we shocked? Not I. When I managed my own franchise, I found I could budget well. It felt good to know I could take care of myself just fine, thank you. Without asking the family's permission for potatoes and ground beef or a trampoline for my backyard, I could put aside money for college funds and retirement and not think about which item I would have to leave with the cashier when the total was more than I had in my wallet. The kids had new backpacks and clothes for school. They could do extracurricular activities. We could go on trips. We got a nice TV. Our furniture didn't all come from a secondhand store. We started to play more. I worked to take good care of my finances so we would be okay when the show ended. I felt solid and dependable for my people. But even though we lived in separate homes with separate finances, we always remember we were Kody Brown's wives. We were each part of a couple. I remember filming a trip to a furniture store in Vegas soon after Mary got her house. I remember that. We got baby furniture for Robin. That chick had 50 million cribs. And the baby didn't even sleep in the room with the furniture because they slept in her bed. I'm just saying, let's remember this. And Mary made sure she had what she needed when the little ones were at her place. It was always about the whole family, even when Mary knew she likely wouldn't have more kids. But she also picked a living room set that she said she would never have picked on her own. Kody liked it. Technically, she could have picked something she preferred, but if she wanted Kody to spend time with her, she had to make sure he would enjoy being at her place. Just like he talked her into polygamy and being married, he talked her into that furniture, and I remember it. It just goes to show you the way that this worked. They never did things for themselves. It was always about pleasing that man. Yes, any couple will compromise on their decorating choices, but compromise and bringing the boy to the yard are different things. I knew Kody wouldn't come to my home if the kids weren't well behaved, the food wasn't what he liked, and the house wasn't clean and decorated to his taste. Dinner was ready, usually when he arrived, but he was picky about what he ate. He liked only basic foods. It was all steak, sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts, and spinach. I usually had to make a different meal for the kids. And then Gwendolyn was a vegetarian, so it would be 3 meals. I didn't know that. It could get complicated, especially if he didn't tell me he was coming in advance, which happened often and was one of our biggest fights. I needed to plan, and he felt I was trying to control him. That goes to show you that he didn't stick to a 3 or 4 day rotation, because if he did, she would already know he was coming, but he did whatever he wanted to do, and then he tried to make it seem like she was being controlling. I wanted him to feel comfortable and relaxed while he was in my home. But it's funny to think about now. We all have the same job. The 4 wives handled childcare, shopping, cooking, and housework, and we each made sure the house was comfortable for Kody when he came over. Somehow, Kody was the busiest of us all. Then something happened that made everything that had come before, the eternal commitment, the moment he told me he loved me after our trip to Nauvoo, my identity as a wife, feel like a farce. The Sister Wives wrote a book together, published in 2012. For the book, Mary Janelle, Kody, Robin, and I each talked separately to a writer who then weaved the story of our early years together, as well as Robin's integration into the family. Talking with the writer took me straight back to my 20s when I was young and crushing on Kody and admiring Kody and Mary as a couple. So pre-Janelle, too. Kody had a different memory. Before we got married, Mary, Kody, and I had got caught in a snowstorm while driving from Salt Lake to Wyoming with a group of people for a retreat at Kody's parents' house. I loved seeing his family and felt like our bond as friends had grown stronger. We've been in the car for hours after having to pull over and spend the night on the road. I was starving and we ended up at the gas station, not the nachos. I ate a lot of junk food back then, and chili cheese nachos were my favorite thing. The sight of this chubby girl in my car devouring chili cheese nachos for breakfast put the brakes on our relationship, Kody wrote in the book. Are you serious? I thought after reading the draft. You were disgusted with me when I ate nachos and you weren't attracted to me. Why did you marry me? Because of who your father was? Because of who your grandfathers were? This is what you tell the world about your life. In your 40s, when you absolutely know how hurtful it would be, or you should. He knew. In becoming sister wives, we found out stuff about each other that we didn't know, and it was brutal. I knew Mary and Janelle had struggled, but I didn't know the details. I felt heartbroken reading the book. McKelty read it, and she called me right after. I had no idea Dad felt that way about you, she said. She was so upset. I bet she didn't say it to him, though. I was too. We had been married for about 18 years when I read the book, and I didn't know Kody had ever been I didn't know Kody had never been attracted to me. I felt so humiliated. The whole world knew almost before I did, and now my kids knew too. On camera, in front of the sister wives, Kody said, I was not attracted to Christine in any kind of physical sense. You can see the hurt on my face, even as I initially tried to make a joke of it. You were not attracted to Christine, the host repeated back. That's an understatement, Kody replied. Janelle's face, Robin's face, horrified. I tried to smile through it, but it came out as more of a grimace. Oh, Kody, gee, we just never know what he's going to say. Why did you say you love me? Why did you propose to me? If you love me now, why would you hurt me so publicly? A knife to the kidneys. Yeah, that's a knife to the kidneys, Kody. He played it like it was a tragedy that he had to marry me. That wasn't the tragedy. The tragedy was that he kept me from someone who would love me. The tragedy was the narcissism of it, the belief that I wouldn't have moved on if he had laughed and said he wanted to keep me as a friend. You're really putting this in a book? Kody later said he felt like he had to marry me because I was polygamy royalty, because of my grandfathers. Had to marry me. Why? Had to marry me because you thought it would make you look good while knowing I would be eternally married to someone who didn't love me. I was heartbroken. I don't think Kody ever believed in it. I said this a long time ago. I think that Kody became a polygamist because he wanted the attention from a whole bunch of ladies, number one. And number two, he has daddy issues. And he felt like that would connect him to his father. My opinion, tell me yours. That new bit of knowledge didn't help our relationship. That he humiliated me also did not help. What else wasn't true? I felt as if I had been robbed of the ability to make a good life decision because he hadn't told me how he felt when he asked me to marry him. I also believed it was unfixable. Chemistry is there, or it isn't. But because I had never had chemistry, I didn't understand how it was supposed to feel. I didn't know how it felt to be adored. He did his duty and stayed with me every fourth night, but staying the night didn't necessarily mean physical intimacy. If Kody showed up just before bed and left as soon as he got up, it could feel like punishment. It definitely didn't feel like companionship. And that is where we are going to leave it. Let me tell you something. Christine is telling us the truth, and I am loving it. Loving it. Because people gonna be coming. Y'all, if y'all want to get to Kody Brown, and I don't normally say this, just comment. Comment and hashtag sister wife or Christine Brown Woolley, because I'm sure it's gonna get back to him. Don't go under his post. Don't give him that pleasure. Don't harass him. But knowing that he reads the comments, yeah, we need to go to Twitter. X, that's what we call X. Threads, the blue thing, whatever it is that you use. Because at this point, yeah, he needs to feel it. And TLC, we see you. I'm glad that Christine's been able to tell her story. Like this video because it helps the channel. Let me know your thoughts about these chapters that we just read. Thank you guys so much for your time. Until next time.